Feel like even when I was younger, I would self-sabotage all the time. And the thing is, when I was younger, I didn't really understand or know what I was doing to myself. So I can't entirely blame myself because I was fed fast food every day from my caretakers. So, I'll just eat it. I wouldn't think about how it affects my weight, how it would affect me in school, in middle school, being completely isolated, getting bullied, being super fat and have glasses and just look like a complete nerd in school. Because of these things, that I was fat and was overweight, I wasn't really funny, didn't really get along with a lot of people. I ended up being pretty lonely in high school, and I ended up being pretty lonely in middle school, pretty much all throughout high school. Maybe had one or two friends in high school, majority of the time, and having that experience growing up was not fun. It definitely made me resent a lot of people, made me a very quiet person where I would never talk out because I always just tried to be a people pleaser in school, middle school, high school, and just do and say what people want to hear. And that's eventually how it shaped my entire personality, even to this day. When all that happens in school is you get made fun of and shunned, it turns you into this person that you start thinking that nobody likes you, you have no self-worth, start losing self-esteem, you look at yourself in a negative way, and eventually you start to believe it because it happens so often. Towards the end of high school is when I really started thinking about, if I want to change, I can. I have the power in my hands, and I didn't want to be like this anymore. Like, is it fair to say that it wasn't entirely my fault getting this big as a kid? Crazy thing is, I would eat so much. I don't know why no one ever really stopped me from eating. As a parent, I feel like you can slowly start to see your kid getting fat. Maybe take some responsibility and educate them on why you shouldn't be fat. And that never really happened to me. And don't take it as I'm not taking any accountability. I just think that the first time I got fat, it wasn't entirely my fault, just because I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't understand how bad it was, but obviously I'm taking accountability now. I've had every opportunity to make changes to my diet, my lifestyle, whatever. So I think when I was 16 or 17, I decided that I've had enough. So started dieting, started going to the gym, went on walks every day, hikes. Where I lived, I had a hike, I guess you would call it. It wasn't really like a hike, it was more of just 1,000 steps. If you're in Hawaii, you probably know Coco Head. I would do that at least 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, maybe. And I remember the first time I did it, I went up super early. I was very conscious of the fact that I was extremely overweight and I should probably go in the morning when the sun's not up yet, because the heat, being overweight, is just not a good combo. I remember I got halfway and I threw up. Threw up because I was so out of shape. It probably took me over an hour to complete that hike of 1,000 steps. Long story short, I did that. I lost a ton of weight. I lost 120 pounds. I got to like a decent weight. I kept doing it, started dieting, and eventually I just kept doing that hike, eating less, cutting out soda, going to the gym, and it was the lightest I've ever been probably in 10 years. I don't really even know if I was doing it for me at that time, because there was some girls that I liked, and I feel like they were a big reason why I wanted to lose weight, not necessarily for myself. I think that was the first problem. I didn't do it for myself, so that's why I was able to spiral back into, gaining all of the weight that I once lost. It's pretty much a full circle because I'm the exact same weight right now as I was in high school when I was at my fattest. And the really stinky part is that some of these girls, I realized that there's no chance of us ever falling in love. So that happened. I've had some failed businesses happen, waste a lot of money, lost my dad, some friends to some dumb things, and eventually I just started blocking everyone. I started isolating myself. Pretty much locked myself in this apartment for the past 4.5 years. And the worst part about it is being so conscious of the fact that you're spiraling. You're spiraling down this hole back to where you were before. Every single day, I would know that the decisions I was making would lead me to the same spot that I was at before. Super unhappy, and I would still do it. Probably never went outside for months unless I had to go throw out some trash in the trash can. Most days I would just let it stack up in my apartment, look like an just for lack of better words, it looked like I was living in a rat nest. For the past 4 years, I was just absolutely destroying my life, self-sabotaging, kind of giving up on everyone, blocking everyone. I pretty much stopped messaging everyone. I blocked everyone on social media. I wouldn't reply to people. I think I did it to protect myself, because after losing so many things, it's like, I'll just get rid of you now so you can't get rid of me. And I think that's where it really messed me up, because then I became super lonely. I started relying on alternative ways to feel something, whether that's through smoking or drinking. And it's a very nasty habit where, you start doing these things and you build up a tolerance. And then what I would do is alternate them. So one day I would smoke, one day I would drink, and every day it just kept getting worse and worse. And, I was gaining pounds every single month. And, it gets to the point where in the beginning, it's kind of slowly creeps on you. You realize what you're doing is not good, but you realize it's not a problem yet. And you kind of make that agreement in your mind, like, oh yeah, when it gets really bad, I'll probably stop. But eventually you just keep going down and spiraling and self-sabotaging until the point where it's like a really big problem. And you have to do something, or else I'll be unhappy for the rest of my life, which is not what I want. But for some reason, all I've ever done, even when I was feeling really good in life, is just self-sabotage. All of the decisions I've ever made in my life were usually never in my best interest. Meaning, and kind of going back to when I said I was a people pleaser, I would help out people by giving them thousands of dollars for essentially no reason other than because I know them and I want them to like me. So I did that to a bunch of people. I didn't ask for anything in return. It just felt like I needed to offer something more for someone to be my friend, because growing up, nobody ever really liked me. And that's how I felt as a person deep inside. And during this 4 year period of time where I cut off everyone, I cut off a lot of people that were not even like bad people. They're really good people, people that had no negative impact on my life, because you always hear like, oh, cut out all these negative people in your life. But the thing is, I did that to good people, people that were good influences on my life, that, wanted a better future, had things going on in their life, did no drugs. And these are some of the people that I cut off. And it's just an act of weakness from me, because who knows if that friendship with some of my old friends that I cut off will ever be the same again. It's something that I can't take back, but the damage is done, and I have to live with that now because of all the decisions and choices that I made during this last 4 year period where I gained 120 pounds. I became an alcoholic, smoking became extremely unhealthy, and now I'm broke. So I don't really know how much more I've got to lose. I also blocked my brother because of some other reasons that I may get into in another video. But some of you may be coming from that video, went from Taco Bell to six figures. Thing is, as I quit that job too. Even at some of my highs, I still find a way to self-sabotage and lose some of the greatest things in my life. Also in high school, I had a car. I had a BRZ, and I destroyed that car. I broke it. It lasted maybe 30,000 miles before I got into a crash. That was completely my fault. Not only that, I got probably 50 to 100 different fines, maybe like 30 tickets if you count up, having 3 fines or more per ticket. And eventually I didn't pay them off, and now my license is currently suspended. This video is not to farm sympathy either, despite what you may think. The fact that I have been self-sabotaging my whole life, like, who else do you know that has over 100 fines that, costing me to eventually lose my license? But it doesn't really matter, because I can't change the past. All I can do is work and do better now. I actually just paid off the last ticket, so I can't get my license back. I think I just have to do the test again. So the thing is, I had a car in Las Vegas for those 4 years, but I didn't have a license, so I could never really drive it. And I could never really drive it. It kind of just sat outside, being depressed as me. The only thing that I ever did in it, I think, was smoke and go to the gas station a block away to get alcohol. And eventually I ended up selling it because I refused to get a job, and I was waiting until I had literally nothing left, $6 in my bank account, to start looking for work. I procrastinated until I couldn't procrastinate anymore. That's how I've always been in my life, even in school, like doing work, studying for tests, because I would walk to school every day. It was about 15-minute walk. I would study on the way to the test, like just walking, or I'd always wait for the last minute to do homework, anything like that, assignments. I'd always wait for the last minute, and I'm carrying that procrastination 10 years later. I'd say the only thing I got going for me right now is that I know I want to change my life, and this time I'm going to do it for myself. Sometime in December, I'm going to be uploading a 30-day reset where pretty much kick all of my bad habits. I've lost 15 pounds so far, 10 days in, and I just want to turn this channel into a vehicle where I can motivate people that may be in the same spot as me right now, and just showing that if you try and start caring about yourself and loving yourself, then you can turn things around. So that's it.